Hi, my name is Rob Hamp, and we are going to 7+1 location in the UK. So everybody in the country has issues, Coventry has issues, but we decided for the year of the City of Culture that we would bring home some of those issues from each of those places, crazily using a borrowed bin. It's been a long journey in an electric car. So we've been to Weston-super-Mare, Blackpool, St Ives, Great Yarmouth. So all the stuff we've got in this performance is from Margate. So we delivered that back here in the bin late last night, and today it is in our crime scenery, as we call it. The reason for bringing stuff back here is genuinely because I believe that Coventry always does more than anybody else. I genuinely think it's a complete and utter unsung hero in terms of it just goes about its business in such a subtle way. I think it's a really generous place. And so when the opportunity arose to do a commission for Coventry Biennial in the City of Culture, it was very much driven by we needed to say that, hey, this is the kind of city we are. So it's very much a gesture of goodwill. The reason for 7 seaside locations was because I wanted it in August to go to the most populated locations from people from other locations. It's about how you can actually draw a crowd that has the biggest societal demographic, but with making the least amount of trips, because surely that would be environmentally hypocrisy. I suppose the other thing is I felt that what we almost needed to do was get to a scenario where people couldn't run away from the issue anymore. So when we get to the water's edge, we have to turn around and listen. I mean, unless you're a really good swimmer, but you have to actually stop and listen. So much of our horizon now is wind farms, etc. So people can see the potential future, and then they can turn around and they can see where we actually sit today, and do we want to make those changes or don't we? It's very, very interesting, watching people eat their chips out of polystyrene trays, looking at a wind farm. It's very interesting to see how many people are picking up rubbish from beaches and selecting what rubbish they pick up. But there's other elements as well. There's seeing actually young people especially go to places and realise they got there for the first time because of a crazy idea about borrowing a bin from Coventry city centre. We had an amazing young collaborator from Coventry who at the age of 15 saw the sea for the first time, swam in the sea for the first time, broke their carrier bag. I lent them a bin bag. 3 days later, they're in Coventry with the same bin bag, and I say, hey, what's it with the bin bag? And they said, this is my City of Culture bin bag, Rob. And they're kind of special moments, I think. I wanted people that potentially thought art was rubbish, and potentially other groups that embraced and had a great deal of credibility for making very skilled, very established artwork out of rubbish for quite some years. And I was really interested to see the impact and the approach people had to making art from rubbish. And should we? And and there is a big question. I love to see people ambitiously making art out of rubbish, but I actually sort of come to the tail end of this project thinking, well, to a certain extent, are we validating rubbish and the existence of rubbish? Because the joy on some people's faces having the opportunity to make something out of rubbish left me on occasions on very long trips home thinking, well, maybe they need rubbish to exist so they can do something creative. And how do we progress that? We're at a moment where it's become an opportunity for it to be seen that we're doing really good for the environment. But I suppose the question would be, well, we've been making work out of rubbish for a long time, but now it actually feels that we can tick a box in some ways by saying we're doing it on an environmental level. I'm not saying that is the case or not, but I think I'm thinking quite deeply at the moment as to what I've learned from this project.